He is a very servant leader, if you will. He's going to do what's best for you, and it's his makeup, it's his personality.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Cup Connection. I'm Mike Massaro, and we have a Hall of Fame guest here today. Guy I've been meaning to catch up with for quite some time. Former colleague of mine at ESPN, and of course, a tremendous asset to the sport over the years with Hendrick Motorsports, with his own team. I'm talking about Ray Evernham. Ray, great to see you again. Great to have you here. Thanks for taking the time.
Thanks, Mike. It was great to hear from you. And as you said, we were colleagues, and we've been friends for a long time. So it's great to catch up.
Hey, I always like to check out people's Zoom rooms, if you will. I'm looking at the background in your room. Lots of helmets there. What are we looking at?
Oh, well, throughout the years, obviously, you gather stuff, and some of them are mine, right, from my career. But some of them, Jeff has sent me some helmets, Bill Elliott, Dale Jr., Casey Kane. I've got a Michael Andretti helmet in there. Yeah, they're just cool, and I have them sitting around. And then once you start hanging them, well, then you got to find more. It's nothing compared to Matt Yoakum's collection and Tony Stewart's collection, but it adds some color here. And some of them we pick up at charity auctions, so it's good. But I don't collect a lot of stuff, but I just think helmets are cool.
What are you talking about? You don't collect a lot of stuff. What about the Big Iron Garage? I've been in there. You've got all kinds of cars.
But don't say collection. That's supposed to be an investment. That's how I explain it to Aaron and my wife. That's an investment. It's not collection. You're buying those, and they're going up. They're going up. But I love the history of this sport. And mostly everything in here in Big Iron Garage has got to do with the history of the sport somehow, some way.
So there's always something going on in that garage. What's the big project right now?
Oh, wow. We've been working on a lot of IROC cars. We have found a lot of vintage IROC cars. So we did a couple projects. We did some work for Scott Borchetta, a good friend of mine. And a gentleman named Dave Roberts. We maintain his vintage road race cars here. We do some of that. I've got a couple of vintage road race cars of my own, but the big work has been really collecting these IROC cars, tracking down the history. Another good friend of yours, Matt Yoakum, is working with me closely on that project. And Matt is one of the guys to really put on it, because he actually worked with me at IROC back in the 80s. Matt did, as a kid, and he we get to have a lot of fun together and do some different things with that. Spent a lot of time this year finally writing a book, Mike. We're going to have a book coming out in March called Trophies and Scars, and it's about the career. So I've been not looking in the rearview mirror, but just trying to document a lot of things and having some fun with history.
I love the title. Where'd that come from?
We were talking one day about the book and this and that, and I was kidding around with the people from Octane that are going to publish the book, and I said, that we were telling stories. I said, I did that, and I've got the trophies and the scars to prove it. They're like, oh, that is perfect, because it's lots of times throughout a career you don't get one without getting the other. You know what I mean? You're going to get some trophies, but you're going to get a few scars trying.
Takes a lot of work. Hey, let me break that down. What's your favorite trophy? I mean, what's the one you feel most proud of?
That is a really hard question because every single one of them meant so much. And I can tell you, I'm gonna throw this one off to Mario Andretti. When I was in the TV business and we were interviewing Mario, and Mario walked me through his trophy room, which is marble. It looks like going through the Vatican, right? Because Mario is definitely royalty in the sport. And he had a Pine Brook 3/4 midget trophy right in the middle of the case, where the World Championship Cup and Indy 500 rings and USAC Championship, all of these things. And he stopped and he said to me, "You know why that one is right there?" And I said, "No." He said, "Because it's just as important as the rest of them." And I never forgot that. So
wow.
It's I could say to you, hey, man, my Brickyard trophies or my championship trophies or whatever, but I've got some Lost Stadium trophies that are pretty important to me too.
I was going to say, some of those modified trophies are probably required quite a few scars to get those too. Literally.
Off and on, yeah.
Hey, so I want to get into something that just recently occurred, and that's Hendrick Motorsports claiming its 300th victory. Now, obviously, Ray, you had a lot to do with that. So when you saw that Hendrick Motorsports was able to achieve that milestone, what were your thoughts?
Again, incredible, right? So I had some to do with it, not a lot when you think, I was part of it. I was part of that family. And no matter how you look at it, it still goes back to the man in charge there, the company that bears his name, Rick Hendrick, and his commitment, his ability to identify talent and leadership and take people that maybe others had an opportunity to be with, but he brings them to a different level. And when I look at how long Rick Hendrick has been committed to the sport and, the challenges that he has faced throughout his life with different things and how he's built that and the vision that he had. Tim Richmonds have been there, and the Jeff Bodines and the Darrell Waltrips and Ricky Rudds and Jeff Gordons and Jimmie Johnsons and now Kyle Larsons and William Byrons and all of these, Chase Elliott. But the constant there has been Rick Hendrick, and 350 wins. It's really a testament to his commitment and most of all his leadership for what he's done.
You kind of led me to something that I've been thinking about, and you may be able to relate with this because you live with a New England Patriot fan. I'm talking about your wife, Erin.
Yeah, well, and very, very tough situation right now, Mike, because we're talking about a very dedicated, redheaded woman without a football team who is not in the greatest of mood right now.
Bump in the road, Ray, bump in the road, of course. But what I was getting at is sometimes when you see former Patriot players come back to New England, doesn't matter if they're just a bit player or if they're Tom Brady. They always come back and they talk to Robert Kraft almost like he was a father figure to them. I see the same thing at Hendrick Motorsports. Anybody who has worked for Rick, it just seems to me like they have the same sentiment. What is it that has created that bond between Rick and just about everybody who's worked for him?
I always tell people in a relationship that there's things that make a difference, and you've really got to believe that you have that with those people, and that's trust, honesty, and respect. And Rick Hendrick is a very open person, and if you can't trust Rick Hendrick, you can't trust anybody. And the fact that he is giving and he is a very servant leader, if you will, he's going to do what's best for you, and it's his makeup, it's his personality. And there has been thousands of people who have worked at Hendrick Motorsports and at Rick's dealerships. And I will tell you, you will have a tough time finding you won't count 5 people who don't have a relationship like that with Rick Hendrick. I met Rick Hendrick in 1992, and we text back and forth. We speak as much as we can, and I always tell everybody there's 2 people that I have a relationship like that with that are so busy it's crazy. Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske, and was lucky enough to be mentored by both of them. And what I learned from those guys, is probably more important to me now than even than it was then.
Is there a lesson you've taken from either one of them that you just will carry to your grave? I suspect, one of those lessons that you just have made a life mantra. Anything?
Yeah, I think being able to control your emotions and think clearly without emotion, and don't make a quick decision. And in Rick's words, a good deal is a good deal for everybody. In how you handle things, sometimes even a tough situation, you've got to face it without emotion and be honest about it. So I think that leadership, and that just that the commitment that both of those guys have had for as hard as they run. I mean, Mr. Penske's 85, Mr. Hendrick's almost 75. Those guys, there's just still no way to this day that I can't keep up with them while drinking 2 or 3 Red Bulls to keep going. And spend a day with Roger Penske, and you'll find out what it's like to run. Spend a day trying to chase down Rick Hendrick on a Monday when he's talking to 110 dealerships and whatever. And you just want to be face down on the couch, and those guys are still digging.
Oh my God, I would love to spend a day with either one of them. I've spent moments with them, and those moments have been memorable. So I can only imagine spending an entire day. Moving on a little bit, I just want to talk about being a crew chief. All right. So we talk about your success, just absolutely remarkable. There's no question you are one of the greatest ever. You almost reinvented the position. What drove you? I mean, because you talk about the scars that it took to get those trophies. What drove you to such success?
I don't know if it was what, or again, going back to if it was who. Okay. The same relationship I have with Rick Hendrick, I have a relationship with Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon and I still do things together today. We spend more time personally now than we did when we were racing together. And I had some great people at the Rainbow Warriors. I had some great people at Hendrick. And you get put in a position when you finally get in a place where you can make a difference with people that you care about, and you know that if you were playing ball and they're like, okay, get the ball to Mike, he's going to get it done. You want that ball and you want to do a good job for those people. You're not worried about scoring a touchdown or making a record. You just don't want to let them down. And when I got with Jeff, I always had that feeling that he was so good. He was so good. It was my job to make sure that he could be all he could be. And then when I went to Hendrick, all of a sudden there's all these other people that are giving everything they've got so the team could be successful. And then, with the Rainbow Warriors, and it just kept getting multiplying, and it just got to the point to where I did not want to let those people down. I mean, I wanted to win. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to win the championship, but it was more about, it wasn't about what. Like, we weren't trying for money. We weren't trying for rings. We weren't trying for whatever. It was the who, and it just was about being part of that team.
Wow. Thank you for that answer. Very, very insightful. I mean, I knew that you wanted to win. I just didn't realize all the motivational factors that were behind it. One thing that always has impressed me, Ray, and always I just been in awe of, is how much of an innovator you were mechanically. And I'm sure you had a lot of engineers that were giving you some input as well. I don't know if you're ready to tell all the secrets, but maybe a little peek behind the curtain. Some of the innovations. Are there any things that you did mechanically that you look back to this day and say, man, that was pretty cool?
For our time, today the technology is flown by. Mechanically, it's like, look, the stuff that I worked on is like Model Ts compared to what they're racing. Everything's done electronics and simulation and whatnot. It's cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's not my world. I'm proud of some of the advances that we came up with things like shock absorbers and mechanical grip and spindles and whatnot. But again, I had a lot of great support at Hendrick with guys like Rex Stump and Gary Aker and, some of the engineering staff there at Hendrick. But honestly, Mike, some of the things that I feel like most proud about is some of the safety things that we did early for Jeff Gordon. He would push into to get the carbon monoxide scrubbers. So the guys, and that was a Hendrick project, right? That was something that we led because we realized, Jeff was struggling in places like Martinsville and Bristol and whatnot. And we realized it was carbon monoxide. And so as a group, again, talking about Gary Aker and Rex Stump and the engineering staff got together at Hendrick, and we developed a box, and those things have developed now. Everybody's got them, right?
Right.
Some of the things that we did with seats and supports and really driver safety in the car. Rick Hendrick spent a ton of money and a lot of time. We kicked off the carbon fiber seat project, and it didn't go great, right? We kicked that thing off in like '99, and it took years and lots of money, and he stuck with it. And now, safety and whatnot is there. So I'm proud of some of the safety things. And when I look at some of the cars, well, I guess the new generation car is completely different. But even when I look back at cars they were racing a couple of years ago, and I see some of the things that we developed at the 24, and I look at some of the process in the garage area about how people unload their cars and how they do this and how they, that process. And I feel like, okay, that we started that.
Yeah, I agree. One thing I see to this day, you mentioned the Rainbow Warriors. It was really, from what I recall, the first, I don't want to call it an experiment, but it was the first idea of bringing real athletes from other sports, and having them pit a car. Seems like every team has that now. And they're going to great lengths to find these athletes, right?
And again, that going back to the support, a lot of people thought that was a crazy idea. It wasn't going to work. It was dumb. Guys, people had to know this and that. Rick Hendrick believed in us. He let us go out on the limb and do it. And people go, oh, you got the modern, well, maybe the modern pit stuff, but I've never felt like I was a great inventor, innovator. I've taken other people's ideas, improved them. That's what I did, right? The guys that made the pit stop were the Wood brothers. Okay, so that was it. And then the rest of us just kept, we just kept improving the idea, right? So, but again, going back, I remember getting pushback from other people at Hendrick. You have a crazy idea, but Rick Hendrick supported and said, "Okay, we're going to try it." And he saw the value of it going forward. But it made sense to me when I first went in there, because I was like, man, there's no way we can build a pit crew. We're building cars, and at that time, we were working 14, 16 hours a day, 6 or 7 days a week, because you only had 10 or 12 guys, and you're building cars, racing cars, you're testing. When I first started, there was no test rules. We tested once a week, we raced once a week. That was the way it was, right? So I said, we need to bring in guys, and they can't be tired. They can't be working on the car. They got to have time to pit practice and do all this stuff. And, within 2 years, we started in 93 and strode a little bit without experience. 94, we won the World Pit Crew Championship with a bunch of new guys. And for 5 or 6 years in a row, the Rainbow Warriors dominated the action on pit road.
All right, Ray, we're running out of time, so I'm just going to wrap this up. I just want to get your thoughts on where the sport is right now. It's changed a lot over the years, 75 years of history. It's just evolved. The schedule's changed. The car has changed. The drivers have changed, obviously. How do you see the health of the sport right now?
I think the sport is healthy. People look back into where it was in the 90s. It's not that, but nothing is, because the world's changed. Those people that were watching that in the 90s are, it's a different deal. The thing that I like about it is that the people that are in charge of the sport now and working on, I really like Steve Phelps and the group of people that he has, because they're paying attention to our roots. They're paying attention to our DNA, but they're not afraid to stick their toe in the water and look at other things, give it a chance for a while, and figure out what they've got to do. I think, Marcus Smith leading his side over there on SMI now, it's brilliant, because they're doing things like the Roval. They're doing things like bringing back racing at North Wilkesboro, and they're open-minded. And they've got the data behind it now. They're just not making knee-jerk reactions based on somebody's mad or fans booing here and there or whatever. They've got the data. And I think this new car, even though I know there were some complaints and there were this and that, I think it was brilliant in a lot of ways, because it has equalized the competition. And now some of these places that we're going to, like going back to Indy, now going back on the oval,
right? I
feel like this new car is really going to be a better car there than we used to run. So it's kind of a long answer, but in a lot of areas, I'd love to see the sport continue, ratings going up, popularity going up, and it is a little at a time. But I think the people that are steering the ship and the outlook that they have on the way they're making decisions now is making the sport, to me, as healthy as it's been in a long time.
I agree. I just want to address our audience now real quick. Folks watching here on Cup Connection, again, we always appreciate you tuning in. Please hit like and subscribe. And also, if you like what Ray's been saying about Hendrick Motorsports, go back to some of our previous interviews. We've had a lot of Hendrick Motorsports drivers on the show. William Byron, Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. They've all been guests. Some great interviews you can go back to and check out in our archive. Ray, hey, great to have you on. I know the Big Iron Garage is calling you. I saw you had a Help Wanted ad on Twitter today.
Yeah. We have a lot of great people here, and some of those great people have aspirations to go to other places. And I'll tell you that one of my fabricators just got an opportunity with Penske Racing, and I'm proud of that, because now I can feed to those guys a little bit. For years, we stole from Jay Signori at IROC, but now, so it's neat. And, what we do here is certainly not at the level of technology and budgets and things like that. So when I see somebody that deserves an opportunity to get one, it's pretty cool. So we're going to bring in a few more people, and the people who want to go and have some fun, hang out with some old guys and work on old cars for a little while. Come on down.
Well, there's lots of, I've been in that garage. There's lots of cool stuff in that Big Iron Garage. Anybody who goes there to work is going to have an experience. Ray, thanks again for being with us. Hope to talk to you again soon.
Anytime, Mike. It's great to see you.